This is the last of a series of videos that I'll be making in the lead up to the half-yearly exam for Year 9 Science coming up on Monday. These should hopefully be not only revision videos, but also videos that provide useful tips, okay, to ensure exam success. So this first video will be about what to do in the lead up to the exam day. So what I like to call pre-exam. Okay, my number one rule: don't read over notes on exam morning. Okay, you've studied enough, hopefully. You've done all the necessary revision. So therefore you don't need to touch anything on the day of the exam. Okay, if you've really prepped. Okay, it also can lead potentially to moments where you're reading through the notes and you go, whoops, I have to go back to something, or oops, I didn't do this thing properly. That'll lead to anxiety, okay, anxious thoughts, and that's not necessary. So don't touch your notes if you've studied hard over the weeks, and it's been quite a while actually, in terms of the time given for you to study. You shouldn't really need to touch any notes, okay? So don't touch any notes. That's my first golden rule. Number two, sleep early the night before. Sleep is very important, okay? You're young, your brains, your bodies are still developing, and it's important. Sleep is very important in cataloging and storing long-term memory. If you don't get enough sleep each night, so they say it's around 7-8 hours, but you need quality sleep, right? So it's got to be quality sleep. If you're consistently lacking in sleep, you probably realize that your long-term memory isn't that good. So you need to get into the habit of getting enough sleep. I highly recommend you sleep and wake up at roughly the same time every single day. Okay, that's what I do. For me, it works personally. Anyway, be it on the weekend or on a weekday, I try and sleep, not really early, but I try to sleep early and wake up early. It's just helps in establishing a routine. Not sleeping in. I used to sleep in a lot. Not sleeping in, I tend to find actually helps me a lot better in terms of clarity and mental thoughts. So sleep early. Try and get 8 hours of sleep. In fact, I would actually recommend you start from now. If you don't have a proper sleep routine, start from now. Start from tonight in the lead up to the exam. You'll find that hopefully should make a bit of a difference. So it's very important in memory. Also dreams as well. Dreams turns out potentially have an effect on long-term memory too. So when you sleep and dream, that's good for you. Number three, pack required equipment the night before. Okay, be prepared. There's nothing that annoys me more than seeing students on the day of the exam literally in the hall on the table asking to borrow someone else's rubber. I mean, you should really be prepared. It's not really that difficult. It's not rocket science. Pencils, I'd recommend you get at least a few. Sharpener, rubber, ruler, pens, not just one pen. Get like a bunch, get like 5 pens, and a calculator. Now, if you've got 2 calculators, bring them with you. It's called being strategic, because let's say your calculator fails, God forbid, halfway through the exam, what do? Right? And the marker's not going to be... Markers, I mean, it's not only about trust, but just anyone can make up stories, right? And we don't know who to tell. We can't tell the trustworthy person from the person who's not trustworthy. So it's best to come extra prepared. I'd bring 2 calculators. Okay, you never know. So that's pre-exam. On the morning of the exam, don't read over your notes. Get some decent sleep and pack your required equipment the night before. What about the morning of the exam? Highly recommend you eat a decent brekkie. I would go for high protein. Okay, this is not some myth. This is not some facts that I'm making up. Okay, I've done many years of uni. I've sat through lots of exams. I've experimented with different things. I know what works, what doesn't work, well, for me at least. And also, not only that, but also for what the general scientific community says in terms of what actually works. So avoid carbs in the morning. You can have a bit of carbs, avoid lots of carbs, okay? Save carbs for the afternoon. Protein, high protein in the morning. What does that mean? High protein is basically a slow release energy source, not only your muscles, but for other parts of your body, right? Amino acids, protein contains amino acids. Amino acids are essential for things like your blood sugar levels, okay? And that can affect your mood and so on, your insulin levels. High protein, okay, this includes eggs. I'm sure you already know this already. Eggs, oats, okay, Mediterranean. I don't know how to spell Mediterranean, but anyway, Mediterranean. I think that's how you spell it. Mediterranean diet is typically high in protein, things like beans and so on and so forth. But you get the idea. Have a high protein breakfast. You realize that you're full of longer. You don't need to go back for an energy source. It's a slow release energy source. Okay, and avoid complex carbs like breads, things like croissants and all that. Also I would highly recommend you avoid caffeine. No V's, no Red Bulls. Try and avoid coffee as well. But if you're someone who's addicted to it, there's nothing I can really do for you then. Do what you need to do, but that's only if you're addicted, that is, because then you'll have caffeine withdrawal symptoms. That's not a good thing. Caffeine, I don't like caffeine. I don't take any of those energy drinks. I don't take coffee because with caffeine, I've realized it's a very inefficient source of energy. You'll crash. You'll have a crash eventually within a couple of hours. And that's not good, especially if you're sitting in an exam. Wake up in the morning early, have a coffee or V, whatever. Rock up to school, a couple of hours later, you have an exam. You will notice that your energy levels drop. Okay, so it's very inefficient. Avoid caffeine as best as possible. Number one. Number two, this is a big thing, something I'm big on. Adapt a positive mindset. I'm a big believer in the idea that the brain affects your physical health. People all the time will tend to bring themselves down. Have the mindset that I've prepared for this, hopefully, and my teacher has faith in me, and he's prepped me enough. Okay, and you've got to have this concept that you're responsible for your own actions. Only you're the one that's sitting for the assessment, not me. You're responsible for your own actions. You're responsible for how you answer the questions. A negative mindset will result in a lack of success, generally speaking, and a lack of faith. And this is a big one as well. Avoid people or friends who talk non-stop about the exam on the day of the morning, on the morning of the exam. Okay, particularly those who are stressing out and saying regularly that I'm going to fail, even as a joke. Avoid them. Do what you have to do to avoid them, because that will literally affect you as well. I tend to find with a lot of students, they'll tell me afterwards, after the exam, that this is what happened on the morning of the exam. That affected my mood and so on and so forth. Avoid people like that. They're not doing themselves justice and they're not doing others justice. Okay, a positive mindset. If you're prepared, it means you're ready to go. Okay, so they're my main tips pre and during the exam, on the day of the exam. I'll go over it again. Don't read over notes. Sleep early. Be prepared with equipment. Have a decent morning breakfast and have a positive mindset, and you should be good to go.